fishing news is brought to you by Navionics, Okuma, Yozuri, Evinrude, Lamaglass, and the Star Island Yacht Club in Montauk, New York.
Hey, Toby Lapinski for the New England edition of the Fisherman magazine with this week's web video fishing forecast for New England. First up, I want to talk about the upcoming ASMFC meetings. We finally have the public hearings on Draft Addendum 6 to Amendment 6 of the Interstate Fishery Management Plan for Atlantic Striped Bass taking place here in New England, as Connecticut and Rhode Island have got their meetings scheduled next week. Now, Connecticut is going to have two meetings this time around. One is going to take place on Monday, that's in Old Lyme, and then they're going to have one on Wednesday down in Bridgeport. Now, in between those two meetings, on Tuesday, Rhode Island will be holding its meeting over in Narragansett at the URI campus as usual. Details on these meetings, as well as all the other meetings in New England and beyond. For instance, the following week, we've got the Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Maine. That week after, I'll obviously reference that in next week's video. But for all the details on all of those meetings and what's going on, what's being discussed, you can find it right now at thefisherman.com. And of course, if you're not going to be able to make one of these public hearings in order to submit your comments, you can always submit them via email, fax, or good old school snail mail. And again, same as before, the details on how to do that can be found at thefisherman.com. All right, let's see. Going to move on into the reports. Going to start off with Captain Greg of the Blackhawk. He checked in this week, as always, gives us great reports week after week. He wanted to let us know that he's got a straight-up bottom fishing bonanza going around right now. Full boat limits of giant porgies, extra-large black sea bass. And what makes that even more special is that we're in the middle of the fall bonus season, which allows for anglers fishing Connecticut waters on board 4 hire boats to harvest 50 porgies and 7 black sea bass per angler. Now, that black sea bass increase goes right through the end of the season on the 4 hires. The porgy side only goes to the end of October, but still great fishing right on through October. Captain Greg also has a couple of night striped bass trips coming up. Again, those, as always, are reservation only. So if you want to check out when he's sailing, get your reservation, or just check any of the information, you can go check out blackhawksportfishing.com right now. And as always, be sure to let them know you heard about the info on the reports and the trips from us here at the Fisherman Magazine. And speaking of that bottom fishing, like Greg was talking about, got a video contribution once again from TJ Kopecky, as he's got some info on recent outings in the East Bay, which includes some really good bottom fishing, some stripers, and the continued hunt for those false albacore, as you will see.
Thanks, Toby. Hey guys, hope everyone's out there fishing. I feel like it's Albie Fever, as we would call it, if you're on your social media, checking your Instagram, Facebook, seeing all the pictures of all the albies from, and I'll tell you, if you read the article on Monday that Toby wrote up about albies at thefisherman.com, you would have saw, albies from Connecticut, Long Island Sound, all the way to Cape Cod. But now I'd like to report that I did see a couple of pods of albies in Mount Hope Bay on Sunday when I was out there fishing. I did try and catch a couple of them out of it, but I didn't catch anything. But I knew there were albies, the distinct way that they feed out of the water, and they were coming out of the water. So if you're fishing Mount Hope Bay, just be on the watch out for them there. But also fishing in Mount Hope Bay, I still don't count out the ground fishing. Sunday when I was out there, in between fishing for the albies and blues and stripers, I did some ground fishing still, and keeper fluke, keeper blackfish, lots of keeper scup, and tons of black sea bass. No keepers there, but just all in all, it was good action all day for the ground fishing. Moving on to the East Bay, surf casting, Colt State Park, Barrington Beach, all have been red hot with bluefish for guys fishing off of the shore. Nighttime, Colt State Park, I heard of some keeper stripers. Barrington Beach, I still haven't heard of any yet. I did fish the Warren River a couple of times this week and last week, just to get all cookie cutter from 20 to 25 inch stripers. As opposed to the previous 2 weeks from before, I was catching all bluefish, but now I'm catching all stripers there and haven't caught one bluefish yet. So if you want to try there and try your luck with some striped bass. It's fun actually just to get out there after work. I've been fishing mainly when it gets dark out. That's been probably the best time fishing those bridges in the structure. But during the day, if you're going to get out there and try for some albies, it probably is going to be the time now to get out in Mount Hope Bay, and probably going to be going up into the Narragansett Bay area with all the bait that we have. So just want to wish everybody tight lines and good luck out there.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, TJ. Again, I apologize. I didn't get a video, got a video last week from TJ, but it's just the timing of it. We crossed paths and I wasn't able to get it into last week's full video. Always appreciate the contributions, whether video, email, photos, what have you, from all of the viewers here and subscribers to the magazine. Sticking with those videos, got one from Dave this week. He's got a report as he hit the Rhode Island surf over the weekend.
Thank you, Toby. I'm coming at you again from the beaches of Mesquamaket. The boat's been put away, and the rest of my season will be from shore surf casting for striper. So I made my way down yesterday. Took a couple casts before sunset from one of the beaches, and it was all weed. Really bad, thick weed I've never seen before. You couldn't even rip it off your line. I lost most of my line on my second cast. Managed to get back. I was lucky to get the lure and the leader back. So I ended up going to Breachway for outgoing tide. Fished the slack. Some guys were throwing eels. No luck on a bucktail either. But when the tide got good and ripping out there was about 45 minutes of good fishable time before the weed showed up. I managed a 34-inch striper. That was the only one I saw. The other side got 3 fish. But then them weeds showed up again, and from from midnight to 3 in the morning, nothing but weeds every cast. I went to bed and woke up to my buddies telling me they fished like from 5:30 to sunrise. They got into a giant school of blues. Couldn't remember how many they caught. They were so thick. I missed out on that. Dragged my ass out of my sleeping bag, made it out to Watch Hill, and about third cast I got a bonito, so I was pretty pumped. And as soon as I could get it, more boats showed up, squeezed me out from shore. They show up and the blitz died down, and I kept casting for them. There's some kid was out there with me. We're both throwing pink epoxy jigs trying to get on them again. People from boats were getting them, but nothing but the one for me. And it's Sunday afternoon right now, 77, 78 degrees. Sun's beating down on me. Still early striper season. Too hot for me, man. I'm going home. I'll save it for October. All right, back to you, Toby.
Awesome, very cool. Thanks a lot for that video, Dave. I gotta say congratulations on getting a shore bonita. Bonita is one species I have yet to catch, whether from shore or by boat. Maybe this will be the fall. Nonetheless, great catch. There's been a few of them around this year. I am hunting mine for sure. Speaking of those speedsters, got word from Mike Smith. He checked in with a cool picture of a good-sized false albacore that he landed this week. Now, he said he was fishing near the Connecticut River. Didn't really get into much more specific details, but he did say that while there's some schools around, those fish were finicky. Obviously, it took him a little work. He was able to get some to bite, but there's been a lot of striped bass and harbor blues in that area, as you'll see in just a moment. But I've also heard of a lot of Spanish macks being caught in the Niantic Bay area, Pleasure Beach. Over to Hammonasset, I had a confirmed catch of one from shore this week. So be sure to keep those tins on the ready for when those schools pop up around you. All right, and as I just said, that area around the mouth of the Connecticut River has been loaded with small bait lately. There's been stripers, there's been harbor blues all over the place. So I figured, you know what, I'm going to take my son Aiden out this week. So we went out the other night, just after dinner. Started off looking for some snapper blues. Went down the DEP dock in Old Lyme. Found a couple, nothing great. That was my choice for the spot for the night. Well, Aiden was pushing me, decided we would go to his favorite little spot. So we made the switch. And basically upon arrival, we found Peanut Bunker getting hammered by small blues and little stripers, as I was just saying, has been around. So obviously he was pretty psyched. Now here's a little video you can see of Aiden fighting what he initially thought was a good bluefish, but ended up to be pretty good sized schooly striped bass for him. Now, we saw these coming down the shoreline. The little blues were jumping out of the water at times, hammering the Peanut Bunker and silver sides. Thought I was seeing some mullet, couldn't confirm that for sure, but one thing I want to remind anglers, when you get into these blitz type of conditions, is that you can do yourself as well as the fish a big favor. You take those treble hooks off. Toss them. Either fish a single hook like a jig lure, designed with a single hook, or on your plugs that come with trebles, throw the inline single hooks on there. That's what we did. We were throwing a couple of Yozuri spooks, and I put those little inline single hooks on. It makes things so much easier for the angler, for the fish, all around. You get more secure hookups. You got a bigger hook bend, so a better bite, and it's just easier when you got a small fish like that flopping around your feet, especially when you got a kid around. It's really helpful. So I highly recommend making that switch. I've been doing it for years and couldn't be happier. And then let's see, next up we got the 74th annual Martha's Vineyard Striped Bass and Bluefish Derby, which kicked off this past weekend. Now once again, the Fisherman magazine is proud to be a sponsor of the catch and release division. They changed the rules up a little bit this year, not the big prize that they've had in the past, more of a plaque certificate kind of a thing, but we're still really happy to be supporting that division. Now for anglers participating, all 4 eligible species in the Derby, that's striped bass, bluefish, false albacore, and bonito. They're giving out the top entry prize by length for each of those, both in the fly as well as the all tackle division. So there's a lot of opportunities to get in on the catch and release side. They've also made some general changes to the rules this year for the harvest division. And if you want to check out the details, you want to sign up yourself, get more info, go on over to fisherman.com right now. In our calendar of events section, you can find all the details as well as a link on over to the Derby website. Let's see, following last week's hurricane, which fortunately, as you know, for the most part, we dodged any sort of real heavy effects from it. Offshore fishing was kind of limited, but those who did get out did surprisingly really well. Spots like the Tails had some tuna early in the week, as did Hydrographer and Veach and even Welker for the head boats with sufficient fuel range. But the biggest news of the week was some really good bluefin action around the CIA grounds and the surrounding waters. The guys from Big Game Fishing Rhode Island went out there. They hammered those recreational sized tuna, just loading up. For the most part, this bite has been on the chunk, although I know the guys at Big Game like to use the jigs as well. They got some of the fish on that. So fish pushing up to that, like 100-pound class. I mean, solid 80, 100-pound fish. There's been some yellows mixed in, so really good action. But I will say it's not just those small boats that got in on it. As I noted a moment ago, some of the bigger boats were able to run a little further. And for instance, the Francis fleet had an excellent 3-day trip recently. They had some pretty good results. They put 30 big yellowfin to 100 pounds on the deck. Now, they did say that the majority of the action that they had was on the troll. That chunk bite was extremely difficult, did not really pan out like they had anticipated or hoped at night, but nonetheless, trolling put a lot of big fish on the deck, and they also had a really good flurry of action on the final morning, of course, on the jigs, putting another bunch of fish on the deck. So I was talking to the guys over at the Francis. They've still got 11 scheduled offshore trips this fall, so plenty of opportunities. If you want to get out, you don't have an offshore boat, you don't have the means to do it yourself, this is a great opportunity. We covered the how-to basics in the August issue of the Fisherman magazine, so you can check it out, get some information on that, and always give them a call, 401-783-8513, as all of these tuna trips are reservation only. So you got to give them a call. You got to you got to lock your spot at the rail, but it is well worth it. And of course, as I said before, let them know you heard about these trips through us here at the Fisherman magazine. We really appreciate it. We like to support all of our advertisers, and we hope that you do as well. All right, well, there you have it. I'm Toby Lapinski for the New England edition of the Fisherman magazine, wishing you tight lines if you head out onto the water this weekend.
Win the incredible Steigercraft Evinrude Lowrance Grand Prize Boat Package and more in the Fisherman's 2019 Dream Boat Fishing Challenge. Get the details now at thefisherman.com.